Welcome to Ways to Human. My name is AJ. Tattoos, once the mark of rebels and outcasts, are now proudly displayed by soccer moms, CEOs, and TikTok influencers alike. But what if I told you that the tattoo needle is more than skin deep? Today we're digging into the science, history, and a little bit of hypocrisy surrounding tattoos. Now, stick around until the end if you want to see my latest piece of skin art. So, what is a tattoo? It's not just ink on the skin, it's ink in the skin. When you get tattooed, a needle rapidly punctures the skin. Depending on the machine, this can be about 50 to 3,000 times per minute, depositing ink into the dermis, which is the second layer of the skin. Because the dermis is pretty stable, generally the ink stays in place. But it doesn't mean that your body's happy about it. Your immune system doesn't love it. Right below the surface of the skin, white blood cells called macrophages are waiting to rush in to digest the ink as if it was an invader. That's because this is a process that the body uses to get rid of pathogens that may be a threat to your health, to keep you from getting sick. They can also help create scabs to protect a wound and do things like heal burns. But these cells struggle a little bit more to process the ink particles. So what happens is that these ink particles end up inside the macrophages, and that's what gives your tattoos their permanence. What you are seeing is literally your immune system's response, and you're wearing it as art. Historians have traced tattoos back as far as 5,000 years ago. There was an Iceman who they named Otzi, and I'm probably mispronouncing that was found frozen in the Alps with over 60 tattoos. Across places like Polynesia, Japan, and in indigenous cultures, tattoos have meant identity, protection, and even rite of passage. But now tattoos are everywhere. They're art, they're therapy, they're storytelling, but not everybody's cool with ink. Did you know tattoos were banned in Oklahoma in the 1960s and they were not legalized again until 2006? I'm sure we can all imagine one of the reasons why they were banned. Cue Leviticus 19 verse 28, of course. Do not cut your bodies for the dead or put tattoo marks on yourselves, for I am the Lord. This verse is often used by Christians to condemn tattoos, but it is part of an ancient purity code, the same one that forbids eating shrimp or wearing blended fabrics. But here's where it gets interesting. Many of the same people who slap a Bible verse on their forearm are also the very first ones to shut down trans people for changing their bodies. Their go-to line, God made you perfect in His image. You shouldn't change that, what He created. Unless apparently, of course, it's an infinity symbol on your ankle. The irony is that these verses are part of the Old Testament. So if you ask someone why they eat shrimp or get tattoos, if it's forbidden in the Old Testament, they will claim that there is a new covenant when Jesus came around, and therefore they only follow the New Testament. But here they are, using the Old Testament verses in the same context to hate on trans people. So, are you using the Old Testament? Yes or no? Make up your mind. If you are for tattoos, eating shrimp, wearing mixed fabrics, then you should be for letting trans people be. claiming that God made you perfect in His image also implies that God created our brains, their chemistries, and the thoughts that arise from it. So, shouldn't your gender identity be included in this so-called perfect image of God? Didn't God create trans people with a biological sex and gender that do not match, and therefore a perfectly created gender identity? I once had an argument with someone about this topic, someone who was making very transphobic comments, and I brought up my hearing loss and my vision loss. And this person went as far as to say that I should be happy with the body that God gave me, deaf, blind, missing vital hormones that I have to take in pill form to stay alive. But at least this guy kept his ideas even across the board. So let me ask you this. If you are against trans people getting gender affirming care because of your religious beliefs, then why are you not against medical intervention for these perfectly created bodies? And if God doesn't make mistakes, then shouldn't medical care not exist at all? Because God's perfect creation included fatal birth defects, right? So if you're going to be against body modifications, at least be consistent and refuse all medical care. Or get with the program, mind your own fucking business, and let people make decisions about their bodies, just like you make decisions about your body. And let's talk about that, bodily autonomy. Tattoos are one way in which people reclaim their bodies. So is transitioning. So are piercings. So is shaving your head, coloring your hair, choosing birth control or not, shaving your beard, cutting your nails, taking medication, having life-saving surgeries. These are all choices that you make about your body. When someone chooses to tattoo their body, they're expressing something deeply personal, just like somebody who transitions is expressing something deeply personal. Yet, only one is consistently demonized by Christian conservatives. Why? Because it's not about the body, it's about control. Historically, powerful groups have targeted minorities to redirect blame and to rally the support of their base. It's easier to say they are the problem than to address more complex issues like poverty, inequality, climate change, to sweep them under the rug, spray their hateful rhetoric, point at trans people, and blame them for destroying family values. Ironically, this is done by men who are divorced several times, have countless children with different women, and often have a sexual abuse record. But anyways, I recently got 2 tattoos, one last year and one just a couple days ago, and I absolutely love them. The first one is, of course, about Green Day. As everybody knows, I love Green Day. And I was going through a very rough patch last year when going through withdrawals from stopping my pain medication. And my husband kept telling me to take things one day at a time. And so this tattoo represents that, one green day at a time. And the reason for the Green Day part is because one day I woke up and I was just laying in my own self-pity, listening to some shows, and at some point a Green Day song came on, and my brain just, something clicked and something completely changed. It brought up my mood, it changed my perspective, and it brought me back to life, basically. So my husband and Green Day are both the inspiration for this tattoo, and it means a lot to me. The second one is a little bit more nerdy and more general. I just love biology and nerdy stuff, and it kind of represents my deep love for music, which is ironic from coming from a deaf person. Okay, so it's a DNA helix strand, and there are musical notes around it. There is an atom, and then at the bottom is the molecule for dopamine, which is what your body produces when you listen to awesome music that you enjoy. And this bottom part right here says, forever in debt to your priceless advice. And did you guess what song that's from? Okay, if you didn't, it's a Nirvana song. And the reason I picked that is because this tattoo was meant to be a part of a 19th wedding anniversary gift, and so I wanted to put something in it that was meaningful to my whole family, to my kid, my husband, and myself. And Nirvana is the one musical artist that we all truly like. It's our top 3, so that's what that's all about. Now, I have always loved tattoos, especially around the arms, but up until very recently, I was also really worried about how people would perceive me and the judgment that I would get from it. Then I began hanging out with some amazing heathens and really cool people that have made me realize that being my authentic self is the best gift I can give myself for my mental health, for my confidence. So thank you to all of these heathens, which also happen to include some trans people who I look up to a lot. And so thank you to all of you for having come into my life to open up my eyes, my mind, and my heart. Now, body art reminds us that bodies are our own canvases for pain, for joy, for identity. So whether you're inked, whether you're trans, whether you're pierced, whether you have your hair colored, or whether you are perfectly happy plain, your body is not public property. It's your own. So respect that. Your body is your own. Other people's bodies are their own. Now, until next time, stay skeptical, stay loud, and stay beautifully, defiantly human. And don't forget to like and subscribe.